Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest is a remake of Akira Kurosawa's 1963 classic High and Low. Spike Lee doing Akira Kurosawa is like Warhol painting a Rembrandt. Both are masters of their craft, but manage to bring their own style, their own flavor to the project. Today, we're talking about both Akira Kurosawa's High and Low and Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest, so strap in. This is going to be a good one. Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I work in TV, and I love movies. Akira Kurosawa's High and Low is a brilliant meditation on class division in 1960s Japan. It starts off with a moral dilemma. Would a wealthy man give everything he has, his fortune, his career, his reputation, would he give it all up to pay the ransom of a kidnapped child that was not his own, but the son of his chauffeur, a working class man who serves his family diligently? In Highest to Lowest, Spike Lee imagines the wealthy protagonist, David King, played by Denzel Washington, as a Jay-Z type of music mogul who has to give up his stake in the record label he built and his ambitions to buy out his partners to save the son of his friend, confidant, and valet, Paul, played by Jeffrey Wright. In my opinion, Spike Lee does a better job of fleshing out this moral dilemma by showcasing the friendship the two men have. Paul works for King, but they're bros. King might be wealthy and on top of the world, but he takes care of his people. In Kurosawa's original, the protagonist Kingo Gondo is a wealthy businessman vying for control of a shoe company which he helped to build, so it's similar. He's a ruthless businessman, but his relationship with his chauffeur is strictly business. Both King and Gondo have difficulty with the decision, but King's decision is layered with his relationship with the kidnapped boy's father. That relationship isn't present in Kurosawa's original and is made even more poignant by Jeffrey Wright's performance, a vet who has served time in prison and has found a benefactor in King. King and Paul's relationship is a boss and employee, but Denzel and Wright play it more as King is not offering a hand out, but a hand up. The men have respect for one another, and their relationship is about to be tested. And there isn't an actor better prepared to bring us that internal conflict than Denzel Washington. His intensity and compassion are on full display. Jeffrey Wright is equally powerful as a man pleading for his son's life to his friend and benefactor. He knows he has nothing to offer King and can never afford to pay him back. But more than just a moral dilemma, the film deals with class structure. Kurosawa's film was praised in its day for its handling of Japanese class structure. In Japan, the original title of Kurosawa's film is Heaven and Hell. It was changed to High and Low for American audiences. The original is known for its use of pink smoke in an otherwise black and white film. There are a lot of reasons for this. I read that Kurosawa was experimenting with color film, but wasn't confident enough to shoot an entire film in color. Maybe, but the symbolic reason Kurosawa used the pink smoke was to visualize the transition from heaven, the wealthy side of the story, to hell, the lower class side of the story. If you felt that Highest to Lowest was two movies in one, you'd be right. And that's why. The first half of Highest to Lowest is dripping with excess, and not just from Denzel Washington's character, who's driven around in a Rolls Royce, wears expensive clothing, and even has gold-plated Beats headphones. But the shots in and around New York City are something only someone like Spike Lee can pull off. His name recognition and budget greenlit a lot of those permits. Having shot in New York City, I watched this thinking of the conversation producers had with the city of New York. You want to do what? You want to shoot where? Nah, pal, you ain't doing none of that. Wait, it's for who? Spike Lee? Oh, right this way. There are helicopter shots of the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan and Brooklyn skylines. There are shots of Yankee Stadium, entire sequences on subway cars and platforms. They even shot during the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Or recreated the parade, which is an even bigger undertaking. The first half of the film is meant to symbolize wealth, excess, heaven, and it shows in the production. In fact, one of my only criticisms is the music score in the first half. It's very unlike Spike Lee, who typically is a bit more urban with his music selections. Here it's orchestral, it's loud and distracting. In a film about a music mogul, I was surprised that the music was so old Hollywood. My read is that it's there to symbolize King's detachment from the street, his detachment from the rhythm and flavor that made him who he is. It's a beautiful score, but it's not right, and we're not sure exactly why. It's definitely a departure for Spike Lee. But it's telling us King has forgotten his roots, he's forgotten the streets. The pink smoke equivalency in Highest to Lowest, or the transition from heaven to hell, from wealthy to ghetto, is the song that Trey, the kidnapped boy, remembers hearing while kidnapped. King uses his superpower, his hearing, his ability to dissect songs and create hits to track down the kidnapper. Kurosawa's film, too, transitions from the opulent and orderly confines of Gondo's wealthy apartment with a view of Tokyo to the messy and chaotic Tokyo nightlife. Lee uses this as license to shoot at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, another luxury afforded a named director in the city he calls home. This is what I love about Spike Lee. He never forgets his roots. He is often seen courtside at the Knicks or on field level for his beloved Yankees. He is the symbol of New York's success, but he also knows where he came from, which is why I think he chose to remake this particular Kurosawa film. In the second half of the film, there are shots of Yankee Stadium, but not from field level. Now we're outside, in the surrounding neighborhoods, where the real New Yorkers live. As I said, the film takes us to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, with Rosie Perez and Anthony Ramos, because Spike Lee still has to flex, right? Kurosawa shows us the drug dens and dark alleys of Tokyo's underbelly. If Kurosawa is showing us hell, Spike Lee's hell is getting trapped in traffic at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Spike Lee loves New York City so much he can't bring himself to portray a part of it in a negative light. Post-war Japan was a very different place than modern-day New York City, but Lee has managed to keep the socioeconomic message intact. Another major difference is, in Lee's version, there is a healthy distrust of the police. One of the cops is played by Dean Winters, better known as Mayhem from the Allstate insurance commercials. Winters is an accomplished actor, but I couldn't help notice the coincidence. The cops cause mayhem. Anyway, in Lee's version, Jeffrey Wright pings his connections on the street, and the two men set off after the kidnapper vigilante style. Kurosawa's film is technically 3 parts. The wealthy in Gando's apartment, the police investigation in the middle, and the poor in the Tokyo nightclubs. Lee takes a slightly different approach. Lee's protagonist is distrustful of the police and has to get back to his roots, the street, not just to solve the case, but for his own character development. Highest to lowest builds to a face-off between Denzel Washington and the kidnapper, wannabe rapper Lil Felon, played by A$AP Rocky. The scene comes in a recording booth, King behind the controls and Lil Felon behind the mic. One man seeing what he once was, and the other seeing what he wants to be. In Kurosawa's film, the men meet accidentally. The kidnapper sees Gando on the street and asks him for a light. Gando is a broke man now, and he's confronted by the man who possesses his fortune and doesn't even know it. In both films, the men eventually talk it out through a prison cell window. In Kurosawa's film, it's pre-war Japan talking with post-war Japan. Gando represents the new era of wealth and consumerism, and the kidnapper is representative of the old Japan, Imperial Japan, sentenced to death. Gando's found another job and is forced to rebuild his fortune and his legacy, much like post-war Japan. In Lee's film, King must rebuild his fortune and his legacy also. The story has made headlines, and Lil Felon is soaking up the fame and offers King the opportunity to sign him to King's new record label. But King refuses. While that kind of business may have made him a fortune in the past, times have changed. King isn't interested in that kind of flash-in-the-pan success anymore. His business acumen has been recalibrated and seeks to make his name with real artists who can sing. I enjoyed Highest to Lowest, not only because I'd seen Kurosawa's original, but because I'm a huge Spike Lee fan. When Do the Right Thing came out, something clicked inside of me. Not only did I want to be a part of the film business, but I wanted to make and discuss films that had social impact, that had a message, that had something to say. Say what you want about Spike Lee, but the man has a message and he's screaming it from the hilltop. And he's doing it in the most creative and distinctive way I can think of. As always, I'd love to read your thoughts on Highest to Lowest and on Kurosawa's High and Low in the comments below. Film is about community. I'm Mike, and I love movies.